Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to cover the WebLogic server domain architecture. That means what are the different directories inside your domain and what is the meaning of all those directories and what exactly they does. Okay, and this video is specifically based on the requests from the multiple followers and especially the beginners. Okay, so let us start with the understanding the domain architecture. Okay, so let us suppose that I have a host, a machine, okay, with some IP address where I am going to install my WebLogic and then I am going to create my domain. So the first work that we do when we have to go for the WebLogic administration, okay, first you have to install the WebLogic server, right? Suppose that in my case I have installed my /opt/oracle and then middleware directory. And once your WebLogic is installed, you have to go for the creation of your domain. So in my case, the location of my domain is OPT and then domains and demo domain. So the name of my domain is demo domain and the folder structure is OPT/domains or /demo domain. Okay. And one important thing here to understand is that when you create a domain, okay, especially in your professional environment or especially in production environments, then make sure your domain is outside the WebLogic Oracle Home directory. Okay, that means the directory that we have chosen for the installation of our Oracle Home and the domain that we are going to create, the both of the directories should be different. That means your domain should be outside your middleware home. Okay, and this practice is not only for the production, even for you are going for the uh, creation of your WebLogic architecture for any of your environment, whether it is a testing, quality, development, or any environment, make sure to have your directory, domain directory should be outside. Okay, and when we do the when we create the domain, okay, by default when we start the configuration wizard, it automatically take the directory with the user domain name as user underscore domain, which is inside your domain, but that is for just for testing purpose. Okay, but when we are in a professional environment, make sure to have a separate directory for your domain. And the reason for that is uh, now the whenever we go for the upgrade of your WebLogic server or any middleware product, okay, which is deployed on your WebLogic server, okay, for that the new upgrades are coming in a way that where you have to have a different Oracle home for the new version. That means earlier it was a practice that the existing binaries or existing software will get upgraded when you are going for an upgrade for the latest version. But now what is happening in that for most of the middleware products, whenever you are going for an upgrade, you have to install your binaries or your WebLogic new binaries in a different location, and then you have to upgrade your existing domain. That is called an out of place upgrade because we are installing our new binaries out of place. That means not in the existing home, right? And if your domain is there exists inside your middleware home, then you would not able to delete your old middleware home because your domain directory is there. Otherwise, you have to do a lot of stuff like you can go for our more step where you have to move your domain to a different location. For that, even I have posted a video. You can see that if you wanted to move the location of a domain, then what is the process for that? Okay, but it makes some extra layer on top of your work. Okay, so take a general habit to create your domain outside your middleware home whenever you are going for the creation of the environment. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, second is once your domain is ready, then inside your domain you will see a lot of folders. Okay, and there is subfolders inside the each folder, and there are a lot of different files inside your folders. Okay, so a lot of files are just for the internal purpose of your WebLogic server, but some of the files and directories are for the administrators or the end users whoever are doing support of your WebLogic support. Okay, so I am going to cover the important directories and important activities that we cover when we specifically when we talk about a domain. Okay, so the important directories that you will see inside your domain, the first one is your auto deploy, second is bin, third is config, fourth is lib, and then fifth is node manager, sixth security, seventh is your servers, and then seventh is pending. Okay, this is the eighth one. So you have these are important directories when we install our domain. Okay, and what is the use of that one? The first one is your auto deploy. So this auto deploy directory is only applicable when you are creating your domain in development mode. So what happens is that when we create our domain, we have two options, two choice, either create your domain in production mode, either create in development mode. Okay, so production is for live environment and development is for testing environments. Okay, so there are certain features that is get enabled only in development environments, but certain features that is not enabled in your production environment. Okay, but because that is not for the development and testing purpose. So if you are creating your domain in a testing environment or in a development environment, make sure to select the domain as development mode. when you're creating your domain, and this folder will be applicable only for the development mode of domain. So what happen is that whenever we go for the deployment of files, okay, then if you have created your domain in development mode and you copy any your deployment file like war, ER inside the auto deploy file, it will automatically get deployed in a WebLogic server. You don't need to go to console, or you don't need to run any scripts, right, for the deployment. The reason for that is whenever we go for the deployment, we have a multiple times in a day we have to upgrade our code, right? And every time we are changing our code, even small things we are changing in our code, then again we have to go for the deployment from the console and then selecting the files and deployment. There are a lot of steps for that one. So to make it easy when you are frequently doing your code changes, you don't need to go for the deployment every time. You just change your code, create a jar, ER or var file and place it inside your auto deploy folder. It will get auto deploy on your WebLogic server. So you don't need to do it from the console. So this is the work of auto deploy. Bin is a directory that contain all of your execution scripts, whether it is a script for setting your environment variables, whether it is a script to start your node manager, whether it is a script to start your admin server, manage servers. Okay, even when you go for the installation of other middleware products on top of your WebLogic, like SOA and then some other OHS, which is the HTTP server from Oracle, then all the scripts like to start your OHS, or maybe if you have installed OID, then the script will come inside this one. But the purpose of this bin directory is all the execution scripts and the environmental scripts will be placed inside this one. So if you have to start any services, that you have to go to inside your bin and then you have to start your services. Third one is config. That is very clear from the name as well. It is for the configuration, to store configurations. Okay. So most of the WebLogic configurations that you do from the WebLogic console, it gets stored in a XML file. Okay. And the main configuration file for your WebLogic is config.xml, which store all of the configurations that you do from the WebLogic console with respect to each and every resources. Like you do the deployment, you create your machine, you configure your node manager, you create the JMS resources, you create the data sources, any kind of a resources that you are creating from the console, it gets stored in a file, which is a config XML file with name config.xml. Okay, so config.xml is the main configuration file. Now in the 12c onward versions, okay, the configuration has been split. So instead of a single XML file, you have a multiple sub XML files as well, okay, for each and every component. So what does it mean? Suppose that I am going to create a JDBC connection pool data source, okay? Then when we create a connection pool, or when we create a data source, then we specify a lot of configurations. What is the host name of your database? What is the port of that one? What is the password for that one? What kind of a driver that you are selecting? So a lot of configurations we do, right, for with respect to each and every data source, okay? So what happens is that the name of the main entity of your domain, that means the name of your data source that we create, is get stored in the config.xml, okay, and corresponding reference file with all the details of that particular data source is get stored inside another XML file, which will be inside your JDBC folder. So this JDBC folder will again inside your config folder. So if I have created 6 data sources, then the name reference of all 6 data sources you will find inside the config.xml, and the corresponding detail of each and every data source you will file inside a separate XML file inside a JDBC folder. So if you have a 6 data sources, then 6 references you will see in the config.xml file, and corresponding 6 XML files you will see in the JDBC folder. Similarly, when you go for the JMS configurations, you are creating multiple JMS resources, like you are creating JMS servers, then you are creating JMS modules, sub-modules. Inside that, you are creating queues, topics, and then multiple JMS components. Then for each and every component, the name reference will be stored in the config.xml, and the corresponding all configurations will get stored in separate XML files, just like JDBC, and it will get stored inside your JMS folder. Okay, and node manager folder, which is inside your config folder, it will store the password for your node manager, right? So when we create a domain, we have to specify the password for node manager as well. So this node manager password in the encrypted form will be stored inside your node manager directory. Okay, there will be a password file inside that one. Okay, and then diagnostic modules, it will, when you are configuring the WLDF, okay, from the WebLogic console for enabling the watch and notifications, which create the incidents in your log files when certain conditions met. Okay, for all the diagnostic module, the configuration in the same way will get stored inside the diagnostic folder, and the name reference of particular module will be stored inside the config.xml. Okay, so that means most of the configurations of your WebLogic will get stored inside your config.xml file. And if you're creating any resources in your WebLogic domain, then the corresponding XML file will be stored inside a particular folder, and the name reference will be inside your config.xml file. Okay, This is the way. Okay. So I will come to Node Manager again, okay, and then after that you will see a folder lib. Let me go back, okay. After config, there is a folder lib. So when we go for the deployment of class paths, okay, that means whenever we have a library and we would like to add that library in the class path of your WebLogic server, okay, then there are multiple options for that one. You can place your library anywhere, and then you can update your class path right in your scripts, and then you can start your WebLogic server. Okay, and but the easiest way is that there's a lib folder inside your domain. So if you wanted to add any jar file to your class path of WebLogic, you can just copy inside the lib directory. If you will copy the particular jar file inside your lib directory, it will automatically get added to your class path. So you don't need to update or manually any script for the executions or to update your class path. Just place it inside the lib directory, and it will automatically get added in your class path. Okay, but make sure if you are copying any file inside a lib directory and if it is getting added in your class path, then this library will be accessible from this location only. That means from the lib folder. So that library file should have to be always there in the lib folder. Okay. Node Manager will contain some important configuration files of your domain. I will commit later part. Okay, let's talk about the server part. Okay, and then security I will come later part. Then server. So when we talk about servers, then inside the domain you will see a folder with name servers, and inside servers you will see the different folders with the name corresponding to your admin server and the different managed servers you have in that particular host. So I have one admin server with the name admin server, and I have two managed server with the name ms1, ms2, ms3. So I will see four folders inside my servers. These you can say as the root or staging folders of your managed servers or admin servers, which is running inside your domain. Okay, and corresponding to each and every server folder, you will have the respective configuration that is required at the runtime to your particular admin server or managed servers. Okay, so inside each and every folder, whether it is a ms1, ms2, ms3 or admin server, you will see the 5 standard folders that is with name cache, data, tmp, security and logs. So these 5 folder you will see inside each and every folder, server folder inside your servers. Okay, so cache and TMP specifically contain your the cache value. Okay, so whenever someone telling you to clear the cache of your WebLogic, then make sure to delete cache and TMP directly. That means you have to go inside each and every server folder, and from there you have to delete cache and TMP directory. So this will delete the cache, but make sure your WebLogic server is down when you are going to delete the cache and TMP which is currently in use. Okay, so before clearing any cache, you have to shut down your WebLogic server complete domain, clear your WebLogic cache. That means clear the web cache of your domain managed servers or maybe for admin servers, and then again restart. So when you will restart, this folder will be created again. Okay. When we talk about security, there would be a file boot.properties where it contain the encrypted form of your username and password. So this username and password will be used by your admin server when you are going to start your managed server from the admin console. Okay, so this folder will be there for admin server as well. So when you are starting your admin server with the help of scripts, start weblogic.sh, then this file will get referenced where your username and password is stored in the form encrypted form. Similarly, when you are starting your managed servers from the admin console, then this file will be referred inside from the security folder, which will be in your servers and then server name directory. Logs folder will contain all the logs of that particular managed server, and two important log files that is there with the name of .out extension and .log. So .log is a standard log file that will be created with the name of server, and .out file is a separate log file that will be created when you are starting your managed server from the admin console, or you can say with the help of Node Manager. Okay, so whenever you start your managed servers from the admin console, it take the help of Node Manager, and that Node Manager create another log file with .out extension. With the name would be your server name, and the extension would be .out. If you are not starting your managed server from the admin console, or maybe you are using the help of the script to start managed server, which is there inside the build folder, which is start manage weblogic.sh. Okay, so in that case, this file will not get created because that script will not take the help of your node manager. Okay, and now there's a folder called data. Okay, so inside the data you will see different folders, but the one of the important folder, or you can say two important folders inside your data, is with the name of store and LDAP. Okay, so now what is this store? So inside store you have two important folders. One is the default. That means inside your data folder you will see a folder with name store, and inside a store you will see two folders. The first one is with the name default. Okay, so this default path or folder is the default file store for your JMS. Okay, So for JMS, if you are not aware about JMS services, that it is a messaging service where one application send a message to another application, and WebLogic act as a JMS provider, right? So whenever your message application send a message to JMS provider, so WebLogic in our case, then it store the messages, right, for the high availability and for persistent, so that in case your destination is down, that time your message will not get lost, right? So whenever your destination is up, the message will retry again. So that means your messages which is coming to your GMS provider, it gets stored somewhere in your WebLogic server, right? So whenever we define the queue or topic which receive the messages, okay, then we attach a persistent store, or which we call a store, file store, with the JMS server, where it will going to store all of your messages. Okay, so we have two options for JMS store. One is the file store, which will be store your messages at the file system level in some directory. Another is JDBC store, which will store your JDBC database in the messages in your database. But most of the time you will see that a file store, JMS store is configured in your environment. Okay. And if you have not specified any custom location during the creation of JMS services, then by default, all the messages will be stored inside this particular folder, which is with the name default. Okay, so this is the purpose of this default folder. Second is your diagnostic module. Okay, so diagnostic module is, as I said, if you're configuring any modules from the console for WLDF diagnostic framework, where we configure a lot of watch and notifications to to monitor the WebLogic logs and then create certain kind of incidents in certain conditions. Like if we see that we want to create a notification in our log files, if anytime heap size is more than 90%, then create an incident in the WebLogic log files, which I can read later with the help of some automations or manually as well. Okay, so if you're doing a certain this kind of a configurations with the help of WLDF from the WebLogic console, then all the relevant logs, events, and server matrices, whatever will be created during the incident, okay, it will be get stored inside your diagnostic folder. So this is the purpose of diagnostic folder. And then there's an LDAP folder, which will be the embedded LDAP store for your each and every server. So you know that whenever we install the WebLogic, it comes with an embedded LDAP server, which is the repository for your security configurations. Okay, and in that security configurations, that means all the security configurations you are stored inside your embedded LDAP server. Okay, and this is the folder which store all the security configurations. And whenever we do any kind of activity, like we have to delete the cache, or we are in certain issues where we have certain kind of inconsistencies between the applications, and that time many times we rename our server directory. That means we go to our servers folder, inside that we rename or we move the all the directories there with the name of managed servers. Okay, and the reason for that is that whenever we start our managed server, it connect with the admin server, and it will take the complete reference of all the configurations, and it recreate the directory. So it will, if you will move the directories with the name of managed server, it will get automatically created. Okay, but make sure you are not going to move your admin folder. If you will going to remove your admin folder, which contain your configurations for your embedded LDAP servers, username and password, then you would not able to start your admin server. And the LDAP directory, which will be inside the admin folder, will get replicated in each and every managed servers. Okay, so make sure that you are not renaming the admin server folder, but you are renaming the managed server folder. And when you're clearing the cache, make sure to delete the cache and TMP folder, but don't delete the data, because if you are not aware about your environment, then it may contain the JMS default store, where you have all the JMS server messages are stored in by default. Okay, and when we talk about the node manager folder of your domain, it will contain two important configuration files. One is the node manager.domain. So now this node manager.domain will contain the path of the domain which is get enrolled, or which this node manager is controlling. Second is the important file is node manager.property. So whenever we go for the changing of certain kind of a configurations of your node manager, like you wanted to change the port of your node manager, you wanted to change the listen address from DNS to IP, or IP to DNS, or you wanted to change the communication mode from SSL or plain, or you wanted to change any other parameters, log file name, log file location of your node manager. For that, you can use this file. Okay, stop your node manager, change this properties in this file. Okay, and then restart your node manager. It will get reflected. And we talk about the security folder inside the domain. It will contain all the security configurations that is required commonly for the complete domain. Okay, when we were talking about the security folder inside each and every managed server and admin server, that was specific to that particular server. But when we talk about the security folder, which is there inside your domain, this will contain the important security files that is required for the complete domain. That means if you are going to boot your WebLogic server, then this security will be referred for the security configurations. If this directory get removed or any file inside this one get corrupted, then you would not able to start your manage. You will not start, even not manage. You will not able to start your complete domain. So this is the most important folder in your domain from the security perspective. Okay. So this is all about the domain structure, domain architecture, and stay tuned for a few more interesting videos. So these are the certain links that you can refer from the Oracle documentations, okay, if you wanted to gain some more knowledge on the directory structures. Thank you.